Guys, Jay, welcome back to the channel. So guys, just when I thought Super 7 was taking a break for the rest of the season, holy crap, did they ever land us with a ton of new releases. Oh my god, this is absolutely insane. Guys, I want to take a look at their first offering, which is the Batmobile. Holy crap. Guys, you know I'm a huge fan of the 1989 Batmobile film, so this one is definitely up my alley. I wanted to take a look at this particular release and see how it holds up against other Batmobiles in its class. After all, Batman can never be held down. Let's have a look, everybody. When I first heard about this, Super 7 had posted this amazing little video on their social media pages. And it kind of got me all riled up. I'm like, all right, something's going on. Batman 89 is coming to Super 7. What could this possibly mean? And shortly thereafter, the cat was out of the bag. They did not waste any time that they had the Batman 1989 Batmobile. And this kind of left me with a lot of emotions because, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the 1989 Batman film. But at the same time, we've seen other examples of Batmobiles which have come up short, have slightly little details which some people aren't really happy with. And there's a gimmick involved with this one too. So when I found out that Super 7 was doing this as part of their Cyborg line, 13 inches long, I was curious. I really was. So I wanted to dig deep into this and see exactly what was going on. Heading over to Super 7, Super Cyborg Batman 1989 full color. I wonder why that designation is there. Full color Batmobile. That's interesting to say, considering that when you really look around at the vehicle, there's not much color there, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyway, I digress. Let's take a closer look at this and see exactly what this version of the Batmobile comes with. So we do have the Batmobile here, and I gotta say, the profile, as always, is impressive. Now, at certain angles, the Batmobile can look a little bit chunky. I mean, looking at it from this particular angle, the sides do flare out maybe a little bit more than I was accustomed to or remembering from shots of the Batmobile. However, again, it really does depend on which angle you look at it. This one appears to be just a little bit wider than a lot of us would have remembered, but at the same time, it still has the basic proportions that you would expect from the Batmobile itself from 1989. I do love the fact that it does have all of the details which a lot of people have mentioned in other iterations as being missing, including the gas tank that you can see over here. The vehicle itself does look amazing. It's got this nice shiny appearance, which I actually prefer. The matte black finish is okay, but I mean, come on, it's black, it's sleek, it's supposed to be shiny. I really do appreciate that. Most of the details seem to be accurate and in place on first glance. Moving down further, we can see that most of the engine details are there, the ones that are peeking up from the side. The air intakes, which are also mounted on the side, look absolutely stunning. And I'm hoping that the final render will actually include that mesh texture, the kind of pattern that's there. That would be a shame if they didn't actually add those in. Looking at the gigantic oversized tires, they look really cool too. And of course, they do have the bat symbol on the inner portion of the... What are they called again? I guess those are tiny little hubcaps on the rims. I'm not 100% sure how would you designate those, but they do look amazing. The fins on the back, unlike the McFarlane version, are not separate from the vehicle. They actually do have that full molding, which is a lot better in terms of the overall look for the Batmobile. And overall, all the details that I can see, including where the machine guns would pop out of in the front, they seem to all be there. Even the turbine itself looks pretty well situated. Admittedly, just the paint on the front for the headlights. But other than that, it is what I would expect from a Batmobile and the way it's supposed to be designed. This, of course, being Super 7, they do have some gimmicks involved, and one of the biggest things that they have are removable panels. This is kind of neat. Looking closely at the packaging, we can see that the way they will ship this will be with an inner liner which depicts the Batcave, which I love. That's actually really, really neat. Side of the box actually accurately details what you're going to be getting once you open up the box, revealing that the panels can be removed and replaced as needed. This, of course, being part of their Super Cyborg line of collectibles, the X-Ray action figure. This is exactly what they mean in this case, as most Super Cyborgs can reveal parts of their interiors, removing their shells to actually reveal either additional interior mechanics or possibly even, in the case of their monster series, their lungs and organs, which is a lot of fun for a lot of collectors. Here we can actually see the exploded view as it's intended. We can see that the canopy actually does remove along with the rear portion of the Batmobile. The front portion of the Batmobile, as we have seen in Batman Returns, does actually lift off, revealing the custom 16-valve engine underneath. Both of the machine guns, which were used to mow down the doorways at Access Chemicals. We can see how the wheels attach to the engine itself, and even the light cluster is revealed on the front end of the Batmobile. I believe that those are the front stabilizers, as well as the brake manifolds, which can be seen here. Freaking incredible. Moving more towards the cockpit, we'll be able to see that there are actually 2 seats. A big detail, guys. And I'm really hoping to see the front panel with all the HUDs, the telemetry, monitors, steering wheel, and there even seems to be the exhaust manifold in the back where the turbo thruster rocket power will come from. I'm also noticing there are actually black taillights. I wonder if that's going to change in the final version, as the Batmobile does actually have red taillights on the back. Just a small note, but it would be interesting to see how the final product comes out. The Batmobile from Super 7 is 13.9 inches, which is a far cry from McFarlane's Batmobile at 22 inches or 60 centimeters. But, as we know, that's a whole nother can of worms. And arguably, the profile on this one looks a little bit more accurate in its overall look with the original Batmobile, as replicas do sort of have that similar profile shape. It's not 100% exact, but then again, every single Batmobile has certain differences when you really break it down. There are some apparent differences to the photo here. As you can see, this one has a much sleeker profile for the engine mount, not coming up nearly as high as the Super 7 version, which seems to taper up a little bit higher, almost giving it a nose-like appearance, which is interesting. We can see here that the entire turbine is actually hidden with the front engine detail, whereas on Super 7, we can clearly see that nose cap of the turbine itself. I'm not being nitpicky here, I'm just comparing the 2 different styles, as this is an actual full-size replica created by an enthusiastic collector compared to its much smaller counterpart. But overall, it does have that wonderful looking appearance. A lot of criticism for the McFarlane edition was that the canopy just was not the right shape, and I'd argue that this one has a much better shape compared to its full-size counterpart in this iteration for Super 7. Of course, the easy comparison is the 1989 Gold Label Batmobile, which, as you can see here, the canopy is just not the right shape for most people. There's also the fact that it's a single-seater, which is a huge sticking point for most fans. But for $126 and a 22-inch vehicle, I mean, it was really hard to complain, especially since it actually came with one figure, Batman himself. Was it the best version of the Batmobile? Well, I mean, I do say it's hard to argue the price point and the overall scale and size. If you just want something to look really cool on your shelf, the Batmobile from McFarlane definitely was a great choice. Particularly this version, which actually did not have any issues with the overall clashing of paint and design. McFarlane's attention to detail was adequate enough for most fans, and as you can see, it does have the red taillights, which is, in my opinion, kind of important. So it will be interesting to see just how different the McFarlane edition is compared to the Super 7 version. These are not available on Super 7 proper, but they are available at Amazon.com. Heading over to Amazon.com, the Super 7 Super Cyborg Batmobile 1989. It is a premium collectible at $125, and given the fact that it does actually measure 13.9 inches long, has these wonderful exploding features, it is in line with many of the Super Cyborg collectibles that have come across the way. Comparing that to the $74.99 price tag on a 22-inch McFarlane Batmobile, which includes a figure, it probably will come down to the details in terms of which Batmobile is the best one for you. There's also a question of space, as 22 inches long is a lot of real estate, and in some people's collections, 13 inches is exactly what everyone is asking for, particularly if you can take it apart and see what's on the inside. Super 7 is absolutely killing it right now, guys. So many different announcements this week, and the Batmobile is definitely one that I will be keeping my eye on, as this is definitely one of the most iconic versions of the Batmobile that is instantly recognizable by fans, no matter what age you're at. Well, guys, I mean, seriously, that is the most iconic Batmobile of all time. I mean, anytime you say Do you know what the Batmobile is? People always tend to think of this particular Batmobile from the '89 Batman. It is so iconic. Now, of course, if you grew up with a Tumbler or if you grew up with any of the other Batmobiles, those are probably your favorites. But I'm pretty sure that if you bring up Batmobile on the internet, one of the first things you're going to see is definitely going to be the '89 Batmobile. And I got to tell you, Super 7 has done a bang up job here. It really does look pretty dang impressive, and I got to tell you, I would definitely be on it. At around $120 US on Amazon, that's not bad in my opinion. And it releases in October of 2024. That's pretty crazy. But coupling with the fact that it actually has removable panels, you can see the engine. I mean, what's not to love, right? It is 13.9 inches long, which is a little bit shorter, much shorter, 7 inches shorter than the actual McFarlane Batmobile. But then again, the McFarlane Batmobile wasn't exactly picture perfect, movie accurate, if you will. So this one, I wonder if it has just enough to be that movie accurate feel that we all love. Guys, let me know in the comments section below. Are you interested in picking up this new Batmobile from Super 7? Is it the right scale for you? I mean, I think it can probably fit some Super 7 reaction figures. I'm not really 100% sure. Or is it too small and you really would rather wait for them to release a 6-inch version, 7-inch version maybe, that can coincide with your Batmobile DC Multiverse collection? Let me know those comments in the comment section below, guys. New episodes are coming on the way, and of course, Super 7 just keeps killing it. More Super 7 releases happen today, and I want to take a look at the very next one, which of course is my absolute favorite. Silverhawks, everybody. Brand new Silverhawks are on the way. And let's not waste any time and take a look at that. I have another episode lined up right now, which you guys can check just by clicking this button here. I'll see you guys there. Good journey. Geek proud.